real cases before a real judge.
And now, enter the courtroom of Judge Mathis.
Plaintiff Michael Wisnu says when he moved to Hollywood from Chicago, he met the defendant, who lives in and operates Gemini Manor, which is known as a bohemian artist venue. However, Michael's suing the defendant because he loaned him money to produce a movie and has yet to be repaid. Defendant Alexander Lair says Gemini Manor is a place where people come to express ideas through song and dance, as well as an outlet for people with alternative lifestyles. Alexander claims he once witnessed Michael having sex with his witness at Gemini Manor, and he's countersuing for defamation of character.
Start with you.
Well, Your Honor, when I moved from Chicago to Hollywood in 1998, I came from a very conservative family. But a couple years later, when I met Alex through networking in the Hollywood entertainment business, I discovered his great place, the Gemini Manor. Alex is a Gemini, like my office manager, Ginger, and Gemini Manor is, like Alex, a collection of eclectic people and things. It's a house in two separate parts. When you come in, past the big gates, there's a collection of classic cars, one of Alex's passions. And then when you come into the living room, there's an upright piano, and that's where I first met his longtime friend, Ron Jeremy, who's a pianist. And he would have the Sunday salons. I think they were twice monthly originally. So it'd be a gathering of people. People would bring beverages and food and share and spend time together and meet and connect, either professionally or socially.
A cult.
A cult.
Say what it is, man.
Boy, I hope not.
Say what it is.
One of the big events was the Polynesian party, the South Seas party. So there'd be fire performances and knife throwing and all dancing and all that kind of performance. There's also a Russian New Year's Eve party. Alex being Russian, speaking Russian very fluently. But it was really good time.
Sounds like a fun lifestyle, for an alternative lifestyle, different from most of mainstream America.
Correct, correct.
Good enough.
So, as an undercover freedom activist, I support Gemini
As an
Manor's
undercover
mission.
freak. As an undercover freak. Well, you ain't under the cover no more. If you say.
Thank you.
Millions of people watching today, Doc, so everybody know you're a freak.
I tried to say freedom activist, but I like your interpretation.
Undercover freedom activist.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, we're together on that. Sir, let me hear some background before we get to the loan.
The background is that I created Gemini Manor 42 years ago. That's how long I've lived in this house. As an open environment for people to come and express ideas and music and song and dance and other open lifestyles.
That means y'all be freaking off. That's what you're saying.
Depends on your point of view. Depends on your point of view.
Depends on my point of view. No, it don't. It depends on what you all do.
Well,
is there anyone there having relations?
As in?
Sexual relations.
Mr. Wisner alluded to that, yes. But that's such a small aspect of what the house is about.
All right, y'all a sex cult.
No, we're not.
Sure.
No, we're not.
I know what that is.
In fact, I believe that's what attracted Mr. Wisnu, despite his conservative, and probably because of his conservative background. He was attracted to that aspect of Gemini Manor. The fact that one time, and I think he's not a very good actor, but one time I saw him give a sterling performance when he had sex with his material witness, Ginger, here, on my bed in front of me, and I was very impressed with his stamina. It's the one time I saw him give an amazing performance.
That was
like I said, you're not an undercover freak. Everybody knows you're a freak. And now everybody knows about you. You run the joint.
I run the joint, but I've never smoked a joint. I've never done drugs in my life, never been drunk in my life. Yep. I don't do that stuff.
So you this way on the natural? Most people have to have a sip of wine or something.
Let's
get to the loan you're suing him about, sir.
Sometime later, Alex told me about a film that a young man was going to be making, wanted to make at Gemini Manor. And I said, that dude's a pothead. The film ain't going to happen. But you, sir, who had, because Alex used to run a theater company. He had some very noteworthy performers at his theater company years ago. I thought that if Alex pulled a team together of all the brilliant people around him, he could make a film. Sure enough, when I was back in Chicago in 2003, packing up my parents and moving them to LA, believe it or not, Alex called me up and said he was making a film and would I be in it. Some months later, we started work on a film that Alex wrote, directed, and produced called The Dream of Alvarine. The film hadn't been edited and finished. Well, after my parents passed away, I thought I would invest in that project to help it come to fruition.
What was the budget of the movie?
What was the budget of the movie? Alex would have to answer that.
How are you going to invest in something and you don't even know the total cost?
Well, that's the thing. The theory was that for $5,000 we could get the film edited. How much had gone into the film already, I don't know.
So what was your promise of a return?
You know, Ginger's going to have to pitch in as this comes forward.
Come on up, Ginger. State your name.
My name's Ginger Davis.
All right. Was it true about what he said about?
Maybe they should stand apart.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is, he made a comment about Michael's stamina. He said nothing about mine.
That's true, Your Honor. She was great, too.
Anyway, I was a participant.
You part of this sex cult, too. Go ahead.
No, actually, I also grew up rather conservative, and my experience in Hollywood was very
got turned out.
Yes,
that's what happens to a lot of conservative folks.
I was brought up conservative. I've never been overly conservative myself. I've always felt that whatever consenting adults want to do, so long as they're adults, they both consent, anything goes.
Gemini Manor is an open environment for people to come and express ideas and music and song and dance and other open lifestyles.
That means y'all be freaking off. That's what you're saying.
Depends on your point of view.
Is there anyone there having relations?
Yes.
All right, y'all a sex cult.
No, we're not. Your Honor. No, we're not.
I know what that is.
Plaintiff Michael Wisnu says he often went to the defendant's home, which is also known as Gemini Manor, and the defendant claims he saw Michael having sex with his witness in the defendant's bed.
Go ahead.
As far as the loan, Alex had called Michael. I was not privy to the call, but apparently he needed money because he was behind on his payments on his home. Michael, not wanting him to lose Gemini Manor, Alex had asked him for $5,500 so he could catch up on his house payments. And it was Alex's idea to give him a promissory note, and he said he would pay it off in 3 months.
But that's not an investment, that's a loan.
That's a loan,
Let me hear from you.
Mr. Wisnu, Michael, made it clear that what he was doing was investing in my business. He wanted to be involved in every aspect of my business.
But what was the return on his investment to be?
We did not discuss that. We never got to that part because...
We didn't have an agreement then. If you don't have an agreement, then you don't have a contract.
We had a verbal agreement, a very strong one.
What?
The fact that he would be involved in my business.
And what would he get back?
We never discussed it.
Well, then you didn't have an agreement.
He wanted...
Agreement says this: for X amount of dollars, you will get X amount of return. It's called consideration. If you're not promising something specific, you don't have a specific contract.
If I may, Mr. Wisnu made it clear that he didn't care about the money. What he cared about was being involved in the business and being part of that.
And getting what?
Exposure.
Oh, okay. So that's what the agreement was. No. Give me $5,500 and I'll give you exposure.
He has a scene in my movie. I have
No, let's start with the agreement. Yes. Was that the agreement? You give me $5,500 and I'll give you exposure?
More than exposure, he would be involved in making the business and the movie. See, he wasn't so much investing in the movie at the time. He was investing in a project I had called the Classic Car Cabaret.
What is that?
It was an entertainment part of what I do. It was going to be singers and dancers, cabaret performers with classic cars.
All right, and so what was he to get out of that for his $5,500?
Exposure.
What else other than exposure?
This is where, unfortunately, it is vague because he involved himself.
Now, you say it was a loan and he was to return your money back. He can't tell me what it was. It's vague for him. Let's see it. This doesn't look vague. This is in writing.
The reason why Ginger has been my office manager since the passing of my parents is she's much better with finances.
For value
and
received,
contracts
the
than I
undersigned
am.
promises to pay the principal sum of $5,500 with interest of 15% per annum. This is clearly a loan. When you say you give me your money and I'll pay you all your money back plus 15%, that's a loan, and that's what you signed up for. What's the defamation for? How did he defame your character?
He, as I said, mentioned the fact that he wanted to be involved in every aspect of my business. When he started coming around, I found it impossible to work with the man. He insisted, the deal breaker for me was when he insisted I sign an agreement, basically giving him control of all my business to him. I resented the way he brought in a young woman who was a sex slave, that he insisted work on my stuff. He was very cold to her, and I don't work that way. I don't work with people
He was
that way.
cold to his sex slave, and you don't work that way with your sex slaves.
I don't have any sex slaves on. I don't have any sex slaves.
Be warm with your
Well, this is a
slaves,
sex
yeah.
cult, so
It is not
all
a
this
sex cult, but-
nonsense. Go ahead. Since you didn't like the way he treated his sex slave, then what, sir?
Well, again,
How did he defame you?
after not being able to work with him and after him insisting on this new agreement, I broke off my business dealings with him, and he started bad-mouthing me all over town.
Saying what?
Saying that I was a terrible person, that I was a very bad businessman, and that it was a very bad investment that he had made. Not loan, investment. He used that word. And I called him about after a year or so after this and asked him to please not do that. That would hurt, you know, what I was trying to create.
Someone can give their opinion without necessarily defaming another. They can say, I don't like the way he does business. I didn't like the way he did business with me. I don't like the way this person looks. I could tell them I don't like the way so-and-so looks. That's not defamation, that's my opinion. So I say that to say, in this case, one, it's his opinion that you are a bad businessman. I shared that opinion. You couldn't tell me what the contract was. Then, this is a loan document, so therefore, it was a loan and not an investment. $5,000 for the plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day.
I can't believe you're still with this man. Are you still a sex slave? I mean, what's going on?
I never was a sex slave.
Oh, well, matter of opinion.
I've never been anybody's sex slave.
Interesting.
Just because you enjoy something doesn't mean you're a slave.
Ah, you enjoy
I've
being a
never
sex
had
slave.
a sex slave either. Come on.
And the time I
That's
saw you show
silly.
up with a lady with a choker around her neck and the
That was
Colors
his
colors
actual-
are kind of cute, aren't they?
I don't know. I've never
They're
worn
attractive.
one.
I see.
That was
Jewelry.
his girlfriend.
I see.
That was
I see.
long after.
All right.
Right now, we are just friends.
Interesting.